Were you at the one where the cops showed up?
Which one?
It's the Stampede breakfast where they showed up?
Yeah, and then they had to stop, and then they started up again?
Yeah.
And they got a fine?
Yeah.
So yeah, they came down and told us to shut up. I don't know if it was the first or second year, but they left. I think it must have been the second year. And then we started again. And then they came back and we stopped, and they left and we started again.
You should have got maybe a permit. I'm not saying they weren't, and that is really but I mean, well, it's the point is, he should have got Buddy should have got he should have got maybe a permit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but it's still a lot of fun for a lot of people. Considering it's Victoria Park, you know, like it's still fun.
I'm not saying it's not.
I felt really guilty when they were passing out the hat later on. I emptied out my pockets, you know, to pay for the ticket at the end of the show. Because I think I was on stage at one point totally naked with just a guitar.
And then they came back and gave us like a $10,000 fine or something insane.
Yeah. And then the cops, the third time they came to shut us down, they didn't even come speak to me. They just went inside and gave the ticket.
And they gave Dan Bacon a huge fine. So he took it to court. And if I understand correctly, that first year, some lawyer, I don't know who, I wasn't there, like picked up the case pro bono, defended Rock Central, and had the fine cut down drastically to like $100 or something.
The amount that was in the hat, like I put in everything I had, which was maybe $12, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought that I didn't know how much the ticket was, and I thought I was being, you know, generous. And then I found out it was.
But the cops are pretty reasonable all the time with the Rock Central guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they said, okay, turn it down, and then they'd wait 20 minutes and fire up again.
But I mean, we've had a lot of complaints, so I mean, and whoever was holding student party was shutting it down in a half hour, so I don't think a half hour is going to break here. No, he was going to shut it down at 7, but now we're shutting it down. That's the way she rolls sometimes. You know what? Oh, yeah. It's too bad that a few What's that? Oh, we're still good.
They are subject to the normal duty and patrol of our police officers and any sort of complaints that go through the system where anything here needs to be addressed.
A girl had been seen pissing on the street the year before. A drunk chick with pink hair. I don't know if you guys remember her. Some drunk chick with pink hair, nobody knows, pissed on the street, maybe in year number 6. So that was a problem.
I think the problem was that not a lot of people were actually putting money in the hat at the end. Because everyone's, you know, pretty much spent it on beer. It's the end of the night, you know. Or
Yeah.
we're passed out.
I remember
It wasn't even night, it was like 6 o'clock.
the scariest thing was, yeah, it wouldn't be night in any breakfast. No one's made it.
It wouldn't be night in any breakfast.
No one has made it. That breakfast couldn't have lasted till night.
Now, when all that time that all the cops showed up,
Canine unit too, man.
K9 unit as well.
Yeah, like dudes, honestly, with parachute pants and like automatic guns and shit. It's weird.
So the cops show up. There's like way too many of them out front, and this one woman is their front person, and she's like a super reasonable police officer. She's just saying, okay, I'd like to speak to one of the homeowners. So James showed up, and he goes, I live here, you can talk to me. And then this other cop, this old white-haired guy, leans over and he's like, is your name on the lease? And he's like, no, my name's not on the lease, but like I live here for like a year or something like that. And he's like, that does it. And he kicked in, maybe, I don't know, he was unlocked, but I think he kicked it in. The door to Rock Central, not the Terrell side, 322, not 324. And he, and then like they like, you know, with like a 15 or 20 cops started running through the Rock Central side of the house, just like for what? I don't know. People were peeing in the bathroom or making out in the bedrooms, but like that they had to stop. They found a 22. Vacon had like a pellet gun or a 22 or something, so they seized that. Gave Vacon a fine for having a 22 or something. He got another ticket for it. He always was the one who got the tickets, because when it came down to it, he was the one who'd say he'd like take them.
I was the guy who was specifically fined, and I never made those fines. Or did I? Is that? Man, it gets so confusing when we go into the past.
I remember waking up walking out front because there were a lot of police kind of coming through the area.
Yeah.
And looking at my van in between 6, 9 police vans at Rock Central because we had the prime parking spot.
It went all the way from McLeod Trail East all the way to the next intersection. Demand that we stop 25 minutes before we planned to stop. And of course, they didn't care about these things, so we'd usually just ignore them, wait till they leave, start again, and that's probably why we got tickets. I think it was only 2 or 3 years we actually got fined for noise violations.
Yeah, it shouldn't be just anybody. I'm not familiar with all the procedures that are involved in getting approval for these things, but
again, I wasn't there. The cop who wrote the ticket, sitting on the stand, the judge says, "Do you think it was a good party?" And the cop says, "Yeah, it looked like it was a pretty good party." And the judge says, "Do you think it was an extraordinary party?" The cop goes, "Yeah, it looked like an extraordinary party." And then the judge says, she goes, "Well, I believe the Stampede is time for extraordinary parties." And then she fined us like $100, like again, dropping it from like, I don't know, $2,000 or whatever it was to $100, and encouraged us to have the party again next year.